Hi everyone, welcome back to JavaScript 101, and in this video I'm going to be talking about variables. So variables are just ways in which you can store data and refer to it in your program. So we're going to show you how we do it in JavaScript. So in JavaScript we use the keyword let and we follow it by an identifier. So I'm going to create a variable called name, and I'm just going to end this line here, and I'm just going to log this variable name here. And if you remember in the previous video, we talked about data types. And one of the data types we talked about is the undefined data type. So if we run this code here, we'll get the value of undefined. So we get this because that's what it means, that when you have a variable that you've declared but you've not assigned a value, then the value of that variable will be undefined. So let's just do that. We're going to assign a value to it. You can do it in two ways. One, you can just do it here and put the equal sign here and put a value. I'm going to put a value of a string called Mary, and that's one way of doing it. Or you can do it in two lines. You can initialize the variable in one line and assign it. So you can do it that way as well. And the next thing I want to show you is how do we create another variable. Simple, we can just do the same thing. I'm going to create a variable called age and assign the value of 25 and log that. That's how you do two different variables, but you can also do it in a single line. So the way you do it is you do let name equal Mary, and then you put a comma, and then the next variable. You don't have to repeat the let keyword again, and this will be fine for multiple assignments as well. So the next thing I want to talk about is the rules you have to follow when you're naming your variables. So in JavaScript, you can use digits, you can use letters, you can even use symbols. So you can use symbols like underscore, that will be fine as well. And for numbers, you can use numbers, but you cannot begin with one. So if you have something called one name, that will give you an error here. So it will give you a syntax error, and you can use it in between or at the end. So you have something like that, that will be fine. So you can use numbers as well. Another thing you have to remember is that variable names are case sensitive. So if you have a variable called name and you have another variable called name, but this time you have a capital letter, that will actually give you a different value here. So it will have a value of undefined because name with the capital N is not the same as name with all lower cases. So you have to remember variable names are case sensitive. So the next thing I want to talk about is actually there's another way of creating a variable. And so I'm going to just remove all this, and I'm just going to put name here, and instead of using the let keyword, I'm going to use the const keyword here. So that's another way of creating a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the value assignment here, and I'm going to run this code just quickly, and as you can see, it gives you an error here. That's because using the const keyword, you have to assign the value here. So I'm going to assign the value here, and if I run that, it will give me the value there. So the thing about const keyword you have to remember is you can't reassign a value to that variable if you use the const keyword. So if I have something called theme here, I will actually get an error. So that's the special function of the const keyword. So if you use the let keyword, you will be able to reassign a value to a variable. So you have to remember that if you're creating a variable, if you know that the value is going to change, then you should use the let keyword. And if you know that the variable is never going to change, then you use the const keyword. So that's how you create variables in JavaScript. So I'm going to end this video here, and in the next video I'm going to be talking about type conversions. How do you convert from one data type to another data type? So as usual, if you like this content, you can press the like button, you can subscribe and hit the bell for your notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.